Hello everybody. I am taking another lunchtime walk. This time it's on Sunday, the 20th of May, and I'm starting a new week. And I am only going to walk 3 miles today. I have to figure out how I'm going to get some extra miles in this week. It's going to be a rough week for walking because of all the work that needs to get done. But I'll do my best that I can, mostly for my health, because I need to do that. So, anyway, I'm at Three Creeks Metro Park in the confluence part of it, and I'm walking on the very beginning of the Alum Creek Trail. I've done this before, before all the green came in. This was flooded the last time I was here, and now it's not. I remember it was just starting to warm up when I came here, and they were just starting to do some construction. It's quite pretty now that everything is kind of growing in. And so my arm is uncomfortable, sorry. I have to readjust here. I am going to get one of those stabilizers so that when I'm walking it doesn't jerk around so much. In fact, I've already picked it out. It's just a matter of allocating the funds now for it. And I will get it. I've been talking about the 5 things that you need to do to supercharge your life, to be really successful at everything that you do. They're basic principles. I will get into more practical things later as we get further into this. Today, I'm going to talk about the third thing of the 5. So the 5 things are be honest, be open-minded, be willing, and then the 4th thing is set goals and make plans. The 5th thing is put it all into action. I want to take a quick look over here. There's a little lookout. We're going to talk about willingness. It's kind of pretty down there. It's just wooded area. I got a little distracted there. Some bikers coming along and really just wanted to get out of their way. So, anyway, willingness. That's kind of built on the idea of getting honest and then getting open-minded. You cannot be willing to do anything if you are not honest and open-minded. In fact, the whole idea of being willing is dependent upon it. It's being willing to do something means that you, what's a good definition for the word willing to do something? Being willing means that it's okay to try something out. Okay, it's okay to do something. You're wanting to do something, and in fact, I'm going to say that willingness is the desire to get something done. Okay? Now, the problem is so many of us decide that we're willing, we're not really willing. And we try to get something done and then we don't get it done. It's because there's some built-in resistance to what's going on inside of us. We're about to cross the big Walnut Creek just before it merges in with the Alum Creek and basically ends. That's just a little bit upstream from here. This is a really awesome bridge. I love this bridge. So we have this concept of willpower. Why don't you have enough willpower to do that? I have heard that so many times. Here's the creek. Big Walnut Creek. That is more like a river, isn't it? Don't ever tell me that this is just a creek. It is a river. Even when it's at a really low, that is way too high to just walk across. So there's a lot of resistance that's kind of built in to us because we've been doing things a certain way, and getting willing to do something doesn't take that into consideration. You could be willing to do something and not really want to do it at the same time. So in order to accomplish something, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes, which really means you need to want to do it. Willpower, on the other hand, is this force that's inside of us that says that no matter what I want, I'm going to get it done, because you somehow convinced yourself that you have to do it regardless. Now, I have lots of willpower, but I still can't stick to things. In fact, the idea of getting something done by sheer willpower is a absolute myth. Some people have that ability to make up their minds about something and then through the sheer force of willpower get it done. Well, good for them. They have that ability inside them to do that. I think that what's really going on, though, is that they have the ability to convert their willpower into true willingness, or actually I should say wantingness, because that's really the key. When you are willing to do something, but you're really resistant towards it, you're probably not going to do it.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So, what am I talking about here? Well, let's just take something I'm very familiar with. The idea of not eating things that I shouldn't eat. So, what am I talking about here? Well, I have a problem. And that problem is that I find yummy, good, sugary things very irresistible. I fully admit it. But I haven't had a bite of anything sugary in years. And the reason for that is because I've got a program, and part of my program says I need to be honest about it, I need to be open-minded about it, and I need to be willing to not eat it. And I had to convert that willingness into a true wantingness. And in the beginning, I really struggled with this. I struggled in the fact that I really wanted the yummy, sugary, bad for me goodness. And it really is bad for me because I'm diabetic. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and that is the result of carrying a lot of extra weight on my body for many, many, many years. And also eating sugar pretty much my whole life up to that point. And I got myself very sick. I weighed well over 300 pounds.
Hello.
Good morning. And I could not stop myself. If I did stop myself through willpower, I did for a short period of time. I could start anything pretty much, but sticking to it was another matter altogether, because what I really wanted, even though I knew that it was healthy for me, what I really wanted was to eat the yummy, sugary, very bad for me poison of sugar. And I still really like the taste of sweet, though I would say that most items today are too sweet for me. But I do like sweet, and I love chocolate. And unfortunately, most chocolate has sugar in it, and I can't have it. It's a simple thing. So I had to come up with a way of dealing with this. How do I convert if my willpower was failing me? And it was, because remember, today I can say I'm not having it, and I can be successful. Wake up the next morning, my willpower, I'm not going to have it. And then somewhere in the middle of the day, something happens that really makes me feel bad, and I don't like that feeling of bad. And one of my ways of numbing myself out from that was to eat that yummy goodness, because it would distract me, but it would also numb me out, because I would eat so much of it that it would make me feel sick, and that feeling of sickness was well preferred. You know, there are people out there who are so depressed, so upset, that they cut themselves. I've done that. Burn themselves. I've done that. The pain, the feeling of pain that they get from that injury that they are doing to themselves is distracting and numbing, and numbs out the pain that's going on inside their head. It's a real sickness. And it's really sad when somebody is doing that to themselves. Well, I'm here to say that compulsive overeating is really no different. Okay? When I eat food to the point where it's making me sick, my back hurts, my belly hurts, every part of me, I'm thinking I'm going to throw up, and then I'm reaching for another thing, that's a real sickness. I'm hurting myself, all with the idea that I want that so much more than the feeling good and healthy. That's an interesting thought. Just think about that. I've thought about that long and hard. Willpower has done me no good. Weighing well over 300 pounds, I decided, because I wasn't feeling good, I was just going to cut out things that are fatty. Oh, that lasted about 2 days. I had heartburn, very bad heartburn. I just could not stick to anything. Okay? Why don't you have a little bit of willpower? I would hear that over and over and over again. It is not about willpower. It's because I want what I wanted, and you ain't gonna stop me from getting it, because I want what I wanted, and I want it now. And that is actually willpower. That willpower, which is going against what I think is good for me, is actually coming from deep inside my mind. And remember what I said. Our minds work in a very mysterious way. It's like a supercomputer. It's a very wet, biological supercomputer. And so we have our consciousness, and underneath it we have this unconsciousness. And this unconsciousness basically is where all our beliefs and values and experiences and a memory of everything you've ever done is stored there. But all those memories, because it's so imperfect, just this wet, it's not a digital world. Everything is, memories are all feelings and images, like holographic images, and they all kind of blend together. So when you experience, like you're walking along a street and you experience a smell, and that reminds you of home with your mother, baking something wonderful, it's not just that one time you're remembering all those times. Every single one of those times. It's hard to pinpoint. You know, something traumatic happens to you, and then something triggers that memory. You're remembering that specific thing, but you're also remembering all the feelings that came up afterwards. and it gets blended together. Well, likewise, when you have a disease and you are doing something, okay, all of that behavior, and in fact, all your thoughts and those feelings that you have are all coming from that subconscious part of your brain, which is all being driven by those experiences, by those beliefs, and by those values that you have. Now, so if you want to change, you want to stop doing something, you have to change that. You have to reprogram yourself. That's why you have to get from willingness to wantingness, and then you can apply your willpower because you want something. Now, what happens quite often is we have reservations. Okay, so a reservation is sort of like a rule that you've set up in your brain. Well, if XYZ happens, then it's okay if I bend what I want. Because in that case, I really, really want that yummy goodness. So I go to a party, I'm not prepared, I'm really hungry, they don't have anything decent for me to eat. So what do I do? I say, well, in this situation, it's okay if I have a little bit of something. And then you have a little bit of something, and that becomes a little bit more, and that becomes a little bit more, and then the next thing you know, you're eating an awful lot of it. Because the thing about being a compulsive overeater or an addictive person is that one is not enough, and 1,000 is too many. So, or maybe it's the other way around. So 1,000, one is too many, and 1,000 is not enough. Yeah, actually, I think that's the slogan. It's funny. I amuse myself sometimes. So you have to convert your willingness to a true wantingness. You do this by looking at it and being aware of the situation. So if you're in a situation, there's a couple of things that you could do to stay on track and stay willing. One is to follow it all the way through to the end. What's the consequences of your behavior? So think about that. Just stop. The pause is really important. Okay? And I've talked about this before. So here I am. I'm faced with some yummy goodness at work. I'm looking at it. I'm going, oh, I really want one of those. And then I think to myself, oh, wait a second. I have one of those. And then I somehow convince myself to have a second one. Or maybe I don't. And then a little while later, I'm not feeling so good. And then I'm actually starting to think about what I did and how I just broke my abstinence. And so now I feel guilty and maybe a little bit ashamed of myself because I was impulsive and I followed my desire, which is what I wanted to do. And then I start beating myself up. And then, you know what, I can feel my diabetes acting up, and I'm feeling really sick. And it's all because I had chosen at that moment. And see, it's a lie that we tell ourselves in that moment that it's okay. And it's that lie, that denial, that moment of forgetfulness. I used to say, I still say it, is I have a broken memory. I have an overactive forgetter. I do forget things. I don't want to forget things, but I do forget things. And I do it on purpose because there's a part of my mind that really wants to, I don't want to say the word sabotage me, but it wants what it wants. And that's the thing. I have to keep fighting. Every time I find one of those things, when I take the pause and I follow it through, and then I get a chance to make a decision that that's actually a false belief. And if I repeat that enough, the belief becomes different. And that, my friends, is how you change willingness to wantingness. By keep finding those situations, those beliefs that are buried deep in you, that you want something that's going to go contrary to your beliefs. I mean, your goal. Then, by following that desire, that belief or value or whatever it is that's driving you, you can then tackle it and show it that it's just false. And what drives so much of our beliefs and values and experiences and the things that motivate us, all of that motivates us, is fear. And in fact, in almost every situation, it's fear. And for me, food was a go-to place, so I didn't have to deal with it. It was a way of avoiding the fear. I had to learn how to feel the fear and do it anyway. Do whatever it is that I had to do. So willpower, no, that's me being realistic, being loving of myself, and recognize that feelings are not facts. They are truths. They tell us something, but they're not telling us what you think they're telling you. So they're not facts. What they are telling you is what you believe, what you value, and what your experiences are. But those experiences are all the past, and the past can't dictate what's going on today. And every time you experience something like that, you have to talk to yourself. Self-talk is perhaps the most important tool that we have, and people don't use it. We need to start using it. I use it all the time. When I see that yummy goodness, I say to myself a couple of things. Number one, that's poison. Number two, it's not mine. I don't need it. That's actually number three. Number four, abstinence, no matter what. I reaffirm my goal. Because that's my goal, is to stay abstinent. That yummy goodness poison is on my blacklist of stuff that I cannot touch because it'll make me sick. And when I put it in those terms, and I keep telling myself that becomes the guiding point of my beliefs, which then sinks into my subconscious, that supercomputer, that wet supercomputer, and starts becoming the driving force. Now, I could stay abstinent for years, but there may be a hidden reservation there, or a hidden belief, a value, experience that will be so strong that it will override. And that's how I've gotten to a place where I've broken my abstinence twice. Once early in the beginning, and I couldn't keep on it for a year. Really struggled for a year. And then after I lost my sponsor, he died, and I lost my wife, lost my son. I mean, there was a bunch of things going on. And during that whole time, I was okay. After it was all over, and I was done, and I was relaxing and starting to really get my life back together, then I had this thought, I can make foods look like the yummy goodness and it still be healthy. I found a reservation. So I didn't identify it, I just started playing games. I would take yogurt and other milk products that were, at the time, I thought were healthy for me and were on my white list, and I would freeze them, and slowly but surely, it became ice cream. I remember the day that I went to this place that was a frozen yogurt place, and I asked them, do you have anything that is sugar-free? And they came back with, no, I really, really wanted that frozen yogurt. I went, okay, then I'll just take the chocolate. I broke my abstinence. So, looking back, once I made that decision, I was done. I had a 3-year relapse. And I gained weight. It was slow because I was mostly keeping to my food plan. But I stopped going to meetings, and I stopped talking to sponsors, and stopped calling people, and I was making a lot of unhealthy choices for myself, and a lot of it was because I was very angry. And if you don't deal with your anger or that fear, it's going to get the best of you. And that willingness or wantingness that enables you to use your willpower will evaporate. Just flat out evaporate. So, anyway, I've gone on enough about this. Willpower is a myth. Willingness is where it's at. But you need to be honest and open-minded in order to be willing. But then you have to take it to go to any length, which means you really need to want what you want. So you have to convert whatever it is that you're resisting into the willingness or wantingness. Convert that willingness into wantingness. Tomorrow, we are going to talk about, we're going to start talking about goals and planning. Why you need to do that. And for today, I'm going to sign off. I don't know when I'm going to get this uploaded, but I am, the only way I can figure out how to do this is to take it, process it. Maybe I'll start getting better at, maybe I'll start putting titles in the front, and I don't know, I'm just playing with it. And then I upload it. I have to actually move the file over to a computer and then upload it. And then I could take a link and put it on my Move On Dream Big. And that was the reason why yesterday's didn't get posted to today. I don't know when I'm going to get this one posted, but hopefully I'll get it posted today. I don't know if anybody's actually really watching my videos.
That's my fault.
But you know what? I don't really care. It gives me practice on the things that I need to say, the things I'm thinking of. And there you go. All right, my friends. I will talk to you another day. Love you all. Bye.